Welcome back to the channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And, well, as the title suggests, today's proceedings isn't necessarily the most positive for American plane maker Boeing. And unfortunately, when is it really ever? They've re-entered the headlines for really the worst possible reason, following a former employee's expression of concern about the integrity of several popular wide-body aircraft types produced by the plane maker. The whistleblower who helped build the aircraft said that sections of the 787's fuselage had been allegedly improperly fastened. He claimed that this could easily lead to the aircraft weakening over time and therefore impacting the overall duration of time that the aircraft can be in service. The New York Times first reported the claims, identifying the whistleblower as a crucial source of information and insight in the continued quality issues that run, as we know, very deep into Boeing. Boeing's stock has continued to tumble this year, dropping considerably, and developments such as these are hardly going to see it rise. While a lot of focus has rested on the improper fastening of the fuselage on the 787, the whistleblower also raised very valid and visible concerns that the aircraft's maintenance was conducted incorrectly. Boeing firmly denies such claims outlined by the whistleblower, saying that the claims regarding the structural integrity of the 787 Dreamliner are, and I quote, inaccurate and do not represent the comprehensive work Boeing has done to ensure the quality and long-term safety of the work. While obviously unproven at this stage, these claims are the latest in a string of quality concerns plaguing Boeing and come really at the worst possible time, but also the most expected time, as the manufacturer is under pressure and seemingly can't do anything right. According to the reports as well, these allegations at Boeing would impact over 1,000 in-service 787 Dreamliners, so by no means is what the whistleblower is saying impacting just one or two aircraft. The report also highlights that the new allegations would impact 400 777s. The specific focus area, at least for the 787, rests on the joint areas that help connect large fuselage barrels and are therefore an essential part of the aircraft, but a little bit later I'll get into why the 777 is also being mentioned as the secondary aircraft type that's been thrown into this. Remember, the 777 bar the 777X is often a plane that doesn't see too much happen around it, which is a good thing. Additionally, what is really not on Boeing's side is the proven time and time again untrue nature of their words and denial of claims such as these. As a result, onlookers, and maybe some of you also tuning into this video, may struggle to believe the rejection of quality issues now on the 787 and 777. Now, even if they are to be the case, and let's just say the whistleblower's words are not true, we don't have any firm proof at this stage, many people just aren't going to believe Boeing because they don't have a lot of backing behind them at the moment, and obviously they don't have exactly a clean record when it comes to this kind of thing. So what's everyone going to do? Side with the whistleblower. During the production process, lawyers say that shortcuts were conducted, not just during the critical engineering stages, but also during the testing stage of repairs. The engineer claims that these were detrimental to the structural integrity of the aircraft type that they were respectively working on at the time. On top of that, during production, the whistleblower observed problems across aircraft programs, including the Boeing 777, forcing employees to overlook these concerns, however. The priority was to focus on schedule rather than actually the safety of the aircraft that were being put out. A generalized cash over safety culture hasn't been unknown when discussing recent history at Boeing. Several former and current employees have spoken out about the pressures they were put under to meet deadlines. I've had Boeing employees contact me, and I've documented that not just through my work with Al Jazeera, but also here, who feel the same. Often, these employees would highlight the disconnect between those on the floor and those in the offices, with the feeling being that executives higher up were not equipped to run a company that, this is the key part, produces planes, that obviously has such an importance on safety. Their focus was just so much on the cash, the stock market, and meeting a schedule, which are all important things, but in this case, it saw safety drop off like a brick. Several executives have departed the manufacturer in response to these concerns over time. However, time and time again, those incoming that were viewed as a solution to the problem have proved incapable of turning around the manufacturer's culture, which feels like there's a problem so deep-rooted it's almost beyond fixing. The door blowout incident at the top of the 2024 calendar year appeared to be the final nail in the coffin, and has obviously led to a massive focus by not just regulators, but airlines and many others on the manufacturer and its key suppliers. The valid concern being, how does this keep happening? Yes, the problem is an issue, but how I always say, if you can stop how this keeps happening, then the problems won't be something you need to investigate. We're talking about really systematic issues. Over the years, much focus has also been placed on the 737 MAX. However, the popular widebody, the 787, also hasn't been immune to persistent niggles that have impacted production and delivery rates over an extended period. Ultimately, however, these niggles that I speak of, which have actually been covered in videos I'm sure you may know, have not necessarily made headlines in, say, your general news and tabloids. Thankfully, this means also that we haven't seen a significant incident as what has occurred with the 737 MAX. But now, this 787 is being dragged into the entire discussion around Boeing and quality control, safety, integrity, and much more. And while the 787 occupies the bulk of the headlines, the manufacturer also sees its 777 under fire, as I touched on some time ago. This plane has largely proved reliable and hasn't encountered, say, significant difficulties across the last 10 years like its counterparts. However, the latest comments raised concerns about the redesign of an assembly process that occurred some time ago. As per these observations from the whistleblower, the speeding up of production used unlimited, but also as quoted, an unmeasured force for the fuselage to fit together. So as a result, this presents concerns about the integrity of the production process, and I feel like it is Groundhog Day because I've said that so many times now, but again, it's reappearing. This is now important to note that the FAA is investigating these comments and will thoroughly examine the manner. The whistleblower says that data and evidence already proves his claims, but will need the FAA as a governing body to take a look at whether these claims do truly have weight behind them. As a result, the FAA has yet another prospective fault, which occurs at the worst possible time for all involved parties, as these issues continue to stack up. Boeing's problem is that despite its persistent denial of claims such as these, it has also denied quality concerns on several occasions in the past, and has been proved wrong. So, how can you believe the manufacturer? That's the argument many people do have. There'll also be some that believe the damage is done just by the whistleblower coming out, and for most people, it doesn't really matter if this is true or not, the damage is done. Of course, in saying that, if these allegations are proved to be correct, it would be very damaging for Boeing and would bring more aircraft into the equation. That's going to conclude today's aviation news. If you've got any thoughts, which no doubt I'm sure you will, please leave them down below in the comments. Thanks again, I'll see you same place, same time tomorrow for hopefully one of your more normal aviation recaps.